Hello, this is Derek Taylor. I am your teacher. You're taking this course for HIST 135, Eastern Civilization, which we're going to cover in this course. It's a general survey course in the history of mostly East Asia, China, India, and Japan, and the civilizations that have been influenced by them. And so in this brief video, I'm going to go through the basics of the course, specifically spend some time talking about the film review and the essay, just so to give you guys some specifics. What you need to do is, this is a fairly sparse course since this is a month-long course. So let's get into this and just discuss this stuff right away. Start with the syllabus. You have my information at the top. Overview of the course as what I just talked about. It's designed to give you some general knowledge about major civilizations of Asia. And we'll mostly pay a lot of attention to China and India, but also Japan. Japan's the other major civilization. You have course objectives. Again, basically, can you write? Can you read and write about this stuff? Can you describe the things you've read? Can you identify them on quizzes and things of that nature? And especially describe and discuss the principal characteristics of the societies under study, and grasp the patterns. You'll see patterns in the textbooks about how they've changed over time. And so that's basically it. You have the required texts. And if you got my email before the class started, I tried to get it to you so that you'd have time to start. Charles Holcomb, A History of East Asia, is big and long and has small print. It's a lot in there. And it's actually a history of not just China, it's not just China, but China, Japan, and the other countries of East Asia, places like Korea. And so it's a little longer, Vietnam. And so that one, yeah, that's gonna be the hard one to get through. So hopefully you've already got a chance to get the book. If you haven't, it is a version of it is available on the Internet Archive. You click on there, you can't download it, you can only rent it, you have to read it online, but at least you have it. It's the same, it's the first edition, but it's the same text, just different page numbers. You can use that, it's fine. I won't worry about that. The other one, Thomas Troutman, was not available any other way. It's India Brief History. And that's the second edition. Troutman's a smaller book about the civilization of India. And other texture media. I don't probably think with the two any others in here. And you had basically three things in terms of grading: essay, the quizzes, and the film review. So basically a bunch of quizzes and 2 assignments, and that's it. And again, the quizzes will be over each of the chapters in the textbook of the course. So each chapter has a quiz. Make sure you've read and retained the information, again, events, figures, and terms in the readings. You'll be able to use the textbook. There's no time limit on these quizzes, but you must complete them with the dates given in this course schedule. So all the ones are due, as you'll see in the schedule. All the quizzes for East Asia books due on July the 18th. So it's about 2 weeks. So you have 2 weeks to get that one done. You also have a film review. You're required to rent and watch a film in a foreign language from Asian culture, in this case, the film Infernal Affairs, which is only available, I think, on iTunes, which I apologize for. I'm going to have to download the app and watch it. And then write a short essay reviewing the film. I'll get to that in a second. And then finally, you write an essay, a minimum of 5 pages, comparing talking about some comparisons of these East Asian civilizations. I'll show you the specific question I have to answer in a moment. But that's it. Makeup policies. There are none, unless somebody's dying in your family. That's it. Generally speaking, this kind of class, you can't miss anything anyway. It's a month long, so hopefully you're ready to go and get things done. I have an academic honesty policy. I'll boil it down: if you don't cheat, don't plagiarize, particularly don't plagiarize work. And that's something that when you turn it in, you'll see the module, or I guess not the module, but the place you turn it in on Canvas, your essay, we use turnitin.com to check similarity with stuff on the internet. So we'll know if you've lifted stuff. So you shouldn't do it. And again, plagiarism, if you don't know, is not borrowing anything, not wording, no matter how short, right? You can't borrow. If you try to, I don't know, I can't think of a phrase you might know, but if you borrow someone's catchphrase, but it's only like 3 words long, that's plagiarizing. You've stolen their work, their thoughts. So rephrase everything or quote, and actually you need to both, because if you just put big blocks of, it's a sign you haven't done much thinking. If all of your paper, half your paper is big block quotations, that's not a good sign you haven't given a lot of thought to these things. You know, paraphrase some of the stuff in your own words and cite it. And then any instance of plagiarism results in a failing grade for the assignment and possibly for the course, depending on the nature of the offense. But I think you've done that intentionally, and mostly it's not. Most of you guys are just, you're being sloppy. I've done that, so don't do that. And also student accommodations, I'll try to make whatever accommodations I can. If you need them, just contact me and access services, let me know. Schedule of assignments, watch course introduction video. This is coming to you a little bit late. I apologize for that. I had a rough weekend like some other people did. And then you have read East Asia. And then you have that's the stuff coming up. Also have to watch a film by the 22nd, Infernal Affairs, complete the review by the 22nd. Then you get a week, or a little more than a week, to finish India, Brief History of the Civilization, the 29th, and the essays due on the 30th. A lot of work to cram into a few weeks. So let me go and take a look at, real quickly, the film review. I won't go into the quizzes, they should be self-explanatory. For the film review, I've given you, I don't think you'll use any of this, but I've given you, if you want to, I want you to talk about in the essay, the film review essay, you know, the film aspects of the film as well as the history part. So I give you a couple of, you know, film writing, how to write a film review and glossary of film terms, and that helps you a little bit. But this is the assignment. There, yeah. So for this assignment, you're going to be, it says watch a film, from an Asian film. In my other classes, you'd watch 2, but you don't have time to do that, so you're going to get 1. And besides relaying basic information about the plot, characters, main themes, want you to respond to the film as an artifact of Asian civilization, and basically answer two questions. How does what you've learned from your textbook, whichever one, this will be the East Asia textbook. So this is it's actually it's a film made in Hong Kong. And how does it inform the film? How do you see the history that you've read in that book reflected in the film, or don't? And the second part of that is, can you see any direct links between the readings and the film? So anything you see in the book, you should make mention of you saw in the film. And then 2, you know, this is a global world we live in. That's why you're taking these courses. You know, China has become a great power in our midst, and we're all interconnected now through the web and all this other stuff, so like you take courses online. So I want to ask you, what kinds of influence from non-Asian civilizations can you detect in these films? How do the filmmakers appropriate stylistic or other elements from either their own history or that of other cultures? It should be cultures, plural, other cultures to tell their story. And you'll see in the film, there are some. I chose the films for a reason. And I've also provided you with a couple of journalistic articles. There's one I'll go to in a second. And again, that's all you have to do there. This gives you, you have the basics here. 12 point times the Roman font, no more than 3 double space pages. Shouldn't take that long. Try not to have too many grammatical errors. Proofread your own papers. Yes, use spell check. Read it yourself before you turn something in. That's an important thing, by the way. You really do need to read your own stuff when you turn it in. You'll catch things. It needs to provide a review of the basic contours of the film that must address the historical questions listed above. No research is required for this assignment. I don't think you have a lot of time. And you can cite the relevant textbook. This would be History of East Asia. You just put the page number in parentheses. I don't know what it is. If you do want to do some internet research, you can cite it by putting the title in parentheses with a hyperlink. However, do not cite internet encyclopedias such as Wikipedia, encyclopedia.com, or anything like that. If you're going to do that, find something more substantive. Let me know what it is. There are things I might accept, but those things, no. No popular websites like that. Then the grading rubric is broken down by points. I think it's by 80 points there. That's the film review. And by the way, if you haven't seen the film, Infernal Affairs is a film made in 2002. Part of the reason I gave you that was that Infernal Affairs is a story. It's a great film, by the way. It's the film upon which Martin Scorsese's film The Departed is based. The basic plot is you have these two set in Hong Kong, and you have a police officer who's sent deep undercover into one of the gangs in Hong Kong, which are called triads, which is why they have this link to an article by the you see this, see this, hope you can see this, by the South China Morning Post, which is a magazine or a newspaper, which talks about, gives you some background. It's an article from 2020 about triads, where they came from, what they're doing, what they're doing there, and all those other stuff. But triads or gangs that have been set up, basically came from Hong Kong to the mainland China in the 20th century, and they all put that off there. And so in the film, you have the cop infiltrate the triads, and they have a member of the triads go undercover as an agent in the police department, and they're there for like 10 years, like they're for a long time. And so that's part of the setup, is they're trying to find each other. If you've ever seen the Martin Scorsese film, it's the same plot. I think it's a better film, to be honest with you. I mean, maybe not visually. Scorsese is great visually, but I think it's a story. It's a better story, but definitely makes use of some cultural things that are unique to Chinese culture, or East Asian culture, but also you'll find in there things that are obviously influenced by globalization, by Western culture. So good film. Hope you enjoy it. Have some fun with that. And finally, the essay, which we need to go through here and talk about real quickly. And it's a pretty broad question I'm asked here, but it goes like this. You have to answer this question in 5 pages or more. In what ways have their ancient history and traditions influenced the way in which China and India have dealt with, hold on a second. That should be China, India, and Japan. You can do all three or one of the three, I guess, or two of the three, I guess you should say, but you compare the two. I'll make that clearer when I'll redo that. But basically comparing how a couple of these civilizations have dealt with modernization since the 19th century. And what I mean by process of modernization, I mean changes, social changes that all countries have gone through, such as change from whatever they were pre-modern, their political system was. In China, they had an empire, goes from the Ming dynasty to a republic, to People's Republic of China, to a modern nation state. The coming of an industrial economy. India was an agrarian society for millennia, becomes an industrialized power in the 20th century. And globalization, it's another one. Globalization being interconnected with the rest of the world in the 20th century, or any other facets of modern social life you see discussed in the text. But those are the three main ones, and you just run with those. You can just do on one of those, long as you compare. That's not very clear, so I'll make the question clearer. You have to compare the two. It does say it up there. Compare the civilizations of East Asia and India. Again, you can add Japan. You can do just Japan and India. So I'll make that clear in the rewrite that for you. But that's basically all you have to do, is compare those two, how those two civilizations dealt with that process. Again, minimum 5 pages. A title which should answer the prompt. So give me an answer to that question. And briefly, it can be a little bit brief, but how Japan and India dealt with modernization, or ancient China, Japan, how ancient Eastern civilization is dealt with it, something like that. I should have an introduction, which states your thesis at some point, gives a preview of where you're going, body paragraphs to address, the history which you're talking about, the process of modernization for each civilization, several, that'd be the body, several pages of that. And then a concluding paragraph or a couple of paragraphs where you wrap things up, tie things together, make comparisons more explicit. That's what that's for. Again, you can cite your textbooks, author's page name and number. So for the Indian book, it's Troutman 64. Again, you can cite internet sources, but no encyclopedias. Scholarly journals or books only. You can find those, by the way, through the JCCC website. They have you can find those. But if you're uncertain about a source to use, check with me first. Otherwise, I'll take points off your grade, because I don't want you using anything sketchy. Should be something that's something that's aligned with an institution of higher learning, basically. And then a works cited page. And that's 5 pages exclusive of the works cited page. It should say cited, it says works cite. I'll change this stuff, I promise. And then the grading rubric, how you be graded, basically, and that's about it. So again, in the essay, compare civilizations in East Asia and India, compare either China or Japan, and India, and how they've dealt with the process of modernization since the 19th century, and well, how their ancient history and traditions have influenced that. And by the way, what I'm thinking of when I ask this question is that all countries have gone through that process more or less at this point, maybe except for a few countries in Africa. Maybe none, they've all gone through it. And of course, that's been a big change in, modern Western civilization, Europe, Americas, Australia, that sort of thing. And I'm thinking of that, how it's kind of been, it's basically been a process of dumping ancient traditions and history, whereas not totally, but it's been a thing. And that's what I'm thinking of here. Did they do the same things in China, Japan, and India? So, but compare one of those two from East Asia and India, and then talk about how they dealt with it, either the same way or different. That's, you can take it different ways. You can focus on the differences, focus on the similarities. You can address influence of Western civilization and all that, because modernization was a Western thing that was kind of, through colonization, was in some ways imposed on these countries. So again, I'll rewrite that. If it's not clear, let me know. I apologize for goofing up with that in here, but I'll change that. All right, and so that basically is the course. So I hope you guys enjoy the reading. It's a lot of work in a short time frame. Like I said before, have any questions, get a hold of me as soon as possible. I'll try to get back to you and help you guys on your way. So this is Derek Taylor, your professor, wishing you a happy rest of the semester. And have happy hunting, everybody. Take care.